Hi, I'm Hannah, and this is advice from Akota. So you just had hip surgery and now you have posterior hip precautions. So how are you going to get yourself ready in the morning and throughout the day? Well, I'm here to cover the adaptive equipment, also known as our hip kit, to help us stay independent as we are recovering from our hip surgery.
Let's go over some hip precaution don'ts. Number one, don't bend your hips past 90. Don't cross your legs. Don't internally or externally rotate those hips. Again, no bending past 90 degrees. And again, no rotating those hips.
Okay, so we're getting dressed for the morning, and the first thing to get started with is your pants. We use a tool called a reacher. And what you do is you start with your hurt leg. So we'll take our pants and make sure they're nice and spread out. Attach the reacher in front of the right leg hole of the pants or whatever your injured leg is. Flop the pants on out. Use the reacher to bring the pants up towards a height that you can comfortably grab with your hand. And you may have some more mobility in this uninjured leg. You don't have precautions on that leg, so either you can lift this leg on up.
When coming to stand, straighten your leg to not break your 90-degree hip precautions. When pulling your pants up, reach around with your hand instead of turning through your hip to get your pants comfortably at hip level.
Okay, now that our pants are on, we can move on to step 2, and that's getting our socks on. So we use a tool called a sock aid. And to set this up, on the hard plastic part of the bottom, you're putting the bottom of your sock. And you're making sure that the toe is nice and taut around the top. And at the top of the sock, we want to straighten it out so that when it comes off and onto your foot, it's in a nice, good location. And we use our ropes to bring this down to the floor, get our foot in, and use the ropes to pull the sock on up. And if your sock isn't to your liking, you can use your reacher again to adjust the sock so it's nice and comfortable for you. Okay, so now that we have our socks on, it's time to get our shoes on. And for that, we use our long-handled shoe horn. So we can actually use this to get our shoe in the appropriate position rather than bending down to grab our shoe. So we line our shoe up right in front of our foot. We bring the tip of the shoe horn to the heel of the shoe. We point our toes down and use that curved surface for our heel to get our foot down and into the shoe. So some tools to help us get undressed is this dressing stick, very good for getting your shoes off. You stick that curved portion along the heel of the shoe, pop your shoe on off. Same thing with your sock, curved portion on the back of the heel, and pop your sock off also. A few other considerations as you head home with your posterior hip precautions are your seated surfaces. If you're sitting down, is your seat too low where you're going to break that 90 hip precaution? And your toilet, how high is your toilet seat? And also, do you have a seated surface to take your showers? And to reach your feet, we have this handy long-handled sponge. So instead of bending over to wash your feet, use the sponge. Also really useful to get that back. And that covers our adaptive equipment for maintaining your independence while you're recovering from your posterior hip precautions. Stay tuned for more advice from Akota.